Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Magicbricks Dialogue Series. Our endeavor to bring knowledge to the consumer and trigger a buy in the real estate market. Good afternoon, sir. Today we have our Honorable Minister for Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Shri Venkaiah Naidu, who will be answering some of the critical issues that our consumers have been raising off and on. Sir, one of the big achievements of your government has been the Real Estate Regulatory Act. And do you think that the states will be able to meet the notification deadlines so that 1st May RERA will become a reality?
Definitely, because I have been pursuing the matter with the states. See, actually, this government have announced that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana in 2015. Subsequent to that, I have taken all the political parties into confidence, and then we got the RERA Act approved by both the Houses of Parliament. There is widespread support because this has been an issue pending for long and consumers have been agitating, requesting for the same. And now, as per the Act, you have to notify the rules. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation is designated to notify the rules for the national capital, UTs and other things, which they have done. And subsequently, as per the federal structure of the Constitution, it is the states that have to notify the rules. Some of the states have done it, some of the states are in the process of doing it. And the states also has to appoint a regulator also. See, now 2016, October, the center has notified wherever it can. And the states have been asked to do it by 2017 May. I am sure by the deadline, all the states will follow the suit and they will also notify the rules.
So some of the drafts that came out, we noticed that there has been some watering down of some of the provisions. How do you tackle that?
Try to understand the situation differs from state to state. That's one of the reasons for even the legislature, that's the parliament has given that much flexibility to states. At the same time, I have been requesting and I have been telling the states no deviation and no dilution. Local requirement land, availability of land is with the state only. So they will be able to know it better. And also the local position as on today, the ongoing projects, all these things, that has to be kept in mind by the state government and they have to follow the rules. But I am sure it is at the end of the day, it is the public opinion. It is the consumers who will prevail upon the state to see that the rules and regulations that they make are in tune with the spirit of the legislation made by the parliament.
Sir, one of the things that you did in the budget, and a very creditable thing, is the industry status to the to the housing sector, affordable housing sector. What will the consumer get out of this industry status?
This has been a long pending demand for infrastructure status for real estate.
Yes.
What we have agreed after persuasion with the Honorable Finance Minister, my colleague Arun Jayashree, I wrote a number of letters, I met him also personally, finally I briefed the Prime Minister also. Because this housing for all by 2022 cannot be achieved by mere governmental efforts alone. India is a huge country and you have different types of population also. Poor, lower middle class, upper middle class. Housing is a general activity. And we talk of housing for all, we talk about all. Though the primary responsibility lies with the government of India, state government, to see that the vulnerable sections, the poorer sections, the economically weaker sections, they get the housing and all. Often the complaint by the private sector has been, sir, we are not getting enough money. So after 2 years, at the end of the day, now finally, the Finance Minister in the recent budget have agreed that infrastructure status will be given to affordable housing. So this will bring in more money from the banks into market, and naturally people will really focus more on creating the housing stock for those affordable sections. They will get money, one. And secondly, added to that, the Honorable Prime Minister's announcement on 31st December 2016, wherein he has announced a lot of concessions for the housing sector, particularly the interest subvention for middle income group. 3% for the higher bracket and 4% for the next bracket. One is 12 lakhs to 18 lakhs, you will get an interest subvention of 3%. Between 9 lakhs and 12 lakhs, you will get an interest subvention of 4%. Even before that, my ministry, through normal budget, this thing, we have announced a interest subvention of 6.5% for the poor people, for the economically weaker sections. So you have three categories now. The poor people will get a 6.5% interest subvention. The higher income group will get a 3% interest subvention. The low middle class income group, they will get say 4% interest subvention. With interest subvention and concessions allowed in the budget, and also the recent budget announcement where the houses, size of the houses, and that to carpet area, not the built-up area, can be up to 60 square meters, will really enable first one, getting required money. Second one is making it viable because your interest rates are going down. And thirdly, with this area, see, when we talk of middle class and all, normally we here sitting in Delhi, we think around 800, 900 is okay. That's not okay. You know the reality of the situation today. So keeping that in mind, other than these 4 metros where land is a major issue, we have expanded it to 60 meters and all. And then carpet area. So this will enable more people to join this construction industry. In addition to this, we have taken one more step. For Delhi and Mumbai, with regard to ease of approvals, we have notified a model, model or approval process, which has to be followed, because the World Bank also gives you a rating on the basis of what has been the time taken for this and how many steps you need to go around, how many departments you run around and all. So we have issued model because again Delhi is under the central government. So we have done it, and Mumbai also they have come forward. I myself went there, had consultations with the state government as well as with the Mumbai Municipal Corporation. They are in advanced process of notifying all this, wherein you have to apply online and also get reply online. You need not go to anybody, meet number of people, or shake hand or do something through hand. That is not required now. So you will get permissions at the earliest. That will reduce the delay.
Have you fixed a time period for the approvals?
Yeah, we have now 60 days is the upper limit. The approvals has to be given before that. And some of these cities were telling me they will do it beforehand. Secondly, this is on an experimental basis for Delhi and Mumbai. I want to extend it for the entire country, for all the urban bodies. How do we ensure it? I can do it only through incentives and disincentives. My ministry, Urban Development Ministry, through reforms and under the Amrut scheme or the other scheme, we are going to have incentives and disincentives. In addition to this, as a Minister of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation and Urban Development, I have taken around 7 meetings with my colleagues, because permissions, you need around 41 permissions, people say. And sometimes they complain it takes 6 months to 2 years and all. When I am asking the real estate developer to stick to the time they are mentioned and they advertise a project and they do marketing, they will say this much cost, and this is the size, these are the facilities, and this is the time delivery. So sometimes they don't stick to that. That's another cause of worry, and the RERA will assure it also. Otherwise there are punitive actions. Keeping that in mind, the question is naturally, sir, okay sir, you are putting all this for the builder. What about the government? You need number of permissions. And government agencies and departments are taking a lot of time. So I held a meeting with Civil Aviation Minister, with the Defence Minister, with the Railway Minister, with Consumer Affairs Minister, with this Archaeological Survey, Culture Minister, with my Urban Development and Housing, all of us. We met at least to my knowledge 9 times. And then Environment Ministry. Environment Ministry is one of the ministry where it takes a lot of time normally. So at the end of the day, you need not come all the way from Mumbai or Hyderabad or Thiruvananthapuram to Delhi for getting clearance from Airport Authority of India or Civil Aviation. Because you know the funnel area of the aircraft and all certain. So now the color coded maps are coming and they are made available to all urban local bodies. So you can go through that and you can sanction the permission there. And second is about archaeological survey. That also now, because of the maps are being available, Bhuvan, ISRO has come forward. So you can identify what is the circumference of that this thing, and from what extent you can start construction, wherein you can file a self-affidavit and start construction if you are within that, outside that ambit of that this thing. Like that, we have taken all these departments into confidence, and particularly the Environment Ministry, up to a particular size, one can start construction up to 20,000. Up to 1,50,000, the local body has been now authorized. They can give permission. Of course, the NGT has given a stay on that. We are trying to convince the NGT. We will take it up from outside, and also their ministry also is moving the NGT to a vacation of the stay. So we are focusing on the issue in a multi-dimensional manner to see all these obstacles which will cause delay are removed. Secondly, incentives are given by way of interest subvention and also by way of income tax exemptions. And thirdly, as I told you, by bringing transparency and accountability in the system. What is RERA Act? RERA is not a regulation, it is not a simple regulation. It is not a strangulation. Because fly-by-night operators have entered into real estate and they make all sorts of promises. At the end of the day, they are not able to deliver it. As a minister, I have been receiving hundreds of complaints. But you cannot expect a minister to attend to each and every thing. And moreover, housing is finally not in my hands. It is again a state subject. Land also is a state subject. Many people do not know this. So we were trying to create an advisory mechanism at the center, the minister, the chairman. And then we are creating a chairman in every state with rules and regulations in force. So I hope that every state will follow this. And then by 2017 May, every state will notify the rules. And then the momentum will pick up in the housing sector, and we will be able to really face the target of housing for all by 2022.
So what was the cost of that delayed approval? If approvals got delayed by 12 to 18 months, what would
the
that
cost will be multifold month. The cement prices will go up, the steel prices will go up, and also sometimes land prices also go up. So that way they are getting adversely affected. It's a fact, we must sympathize with them.
Right.
After all, they are also partners in our developmental story.
Right.
But at the same time, the delay was also occurring on account of the government agencies also.
Right.
What we are trying to do is, you cannot penalize a government agency. So what we are trying to do is positively. You approve it within 60 days, 60. Yeah. Otherwise deemed to have been approved.
So that the work goes on.
That is the way we are moving forward.
Right. Sir, will prices come down? The biggest query that our consumers ask, you mentioned it, the finance minister mentioned it, that prices will come down. But we have seen, we've been monitoring prices. We do a regular property index, locality-based property index, and we've seen that prices haven't moved more than 3 to 4%.
My point is, it's not going to happen sudden. It's not like a Bombay Stock Exchange.
Right.
And Bombay Stock Exchange are the land prices in India. Why they have risen to this level and why they sometimes fall also, nobody is able to understand. You need a research on this. My point is, the land prices are artificially chocolate. I have been living in a village and I moved to a town and I have seen how the land prices have gone up beyond this thing. So there has to be correction. One is the demonetization. The second is RERA. And then with this guidelines and all, I am sure there will be correction in the prices. And then people will be waiting for some time. Afterwards, if there is not enough demand, they have to come out with new ideas. I saw in Bangalore the other day a big advertisement by one of the noted builder saying that come to us, 3.93% interest. 3.93% interest the builder is offering.
Yes.
That means he has an understanding with the bank.
Right.
So what I am suggesting is, mine is 6.5%. If the state government gives another 2%, it becomes 8.5%. The bank interest rate is 9.5 to 10% or so. So literally it will be 1% or 2% for the consumer. So there will be competition. And moreover, today I should tell the people to you that there is enough money with the banks.
Yes.
Thanks to monetization. Money has reached the banks. Of course, some people are now having vicarious satisfaction. What is it you have achieved? All the money has come back to banks. All the money that has come back to banks is not automatically white. It's being verified.
Yeah.
Now 5 lakh people who have deposited more than 5 lakhs and all, they have been issued, what do you call, they have been asked to explain. So how much is white, how much is black, that will be known. Secondly, money is with the bank. It has, so I say the notes have come with address. Who is the owner? Legal or illegal? So that means finally at the end of the day, the money will be converted into white by paying tax. What is white and what is black? Color is not changing. Na? You earn money, you pay the required tax, it is white. You don't pay the tax and hide it, it is black. Money is there in the banks. So banks are willing to lend the money. And the real estate sector, we have enough players in the country. And thirdly, my concern is more on affordable housing, more on lower middle class, more on middle class. Others, they will take care of themselves.
And you've expanded the scope of affordable by taking it to the middle classes,
Yes.
right? So that every...
that is a major step taken by this government. The
Very
Prime Minister is very keen, right, to understand the government first priority on our resources is to the poor, followed by lower middle class, then middle class. We have also interest to see that the poor are to be converted into middle class, lower middle class, then middle class. That's how gradually the transfer has to take place. But unfortunately, the story people, what we talk about is that the poor are becoming poorer and rich are becoming richer. We are not against rich people. We want wealth to be created. Once you create the wealth, you can distribute the wealth. And moreover, taxation structure also. In the country, the complaint by many people, honest taxpayers is, sir, you are taxing us who are honestly paying. You are not touching people who are not paying their tax, in spite of their being liable to pay tax. So the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister is trying to widen the tax net and reduce the burden of the tax. You see the middle class, 2.5 lakhs, up to 2.5 lakhs, no tax at all. From 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, the recent budget reduces the slab from 10% to 5%. It's an incentive, incentivizing people to come into the tax net. And at the same time telling the people, you let more people pay tax, the burden will be less. And then if you don't pay tax and you still have money, there is a penalty, 45% or even 60% also. So that's right, we are trying to bring correction in the system also, and we are trying to bring the entire money into the system so that money is available to the needy.
But the CLSS that you had announced earlier has not really had mass take-up.
So it will, I will tell you. See, in spite of my best efforts, government passing this legislation, budget, all, unless the state governments come forward, you will not be able to implement it. I'll just give you a story. Countrywide, in the last 2 years, from 15 onwards, I have sanctioned some 16,35,000 houses. Okay, all states have joined. Some states have joined later. UP, for example. UP has never responded to my letters. I wrote 4 letters myself. My secretary wrote another 5 letters. My director wrote another 4 letters. There was no response. I met the Chief Minister, reminded him, there is an opportunity, 1 lakh, 1,30,000, 2,30,000, these 3 schemes are available. Please join the memorandum of understanding and take advantage of the same. He is not moved. So what we did was, there is a common service center by IT Ministry, wherein you can apply online, you can register your request. So we have told people you can register. The UP, the survey done in 2012 to 2015, there was a technical group by Niti Aayog, I think, or the ministry. They have studied and came to the conclusion 30,07,000 is the demand of UP. So later UP government scrutinized it and they came out and said that 17,06,000, 17,60,000 is the actual requirement. 17,60,000 is the actual requirement. And then government, in spite of all these letters and all, is unmoved. So in the common service center, CSC, that facility is given. 10,30,000 plus people have applied from one state. So if you create awareness, people are coming. But at the same time, even 10 lakh people have registered online. I cannot sanction them houses directly because the house has to be constructed on land. Na? You cannot construct house on air. So land has to be identified by the district collector, by the state administration. After all this, then there is a lot of publicity in the media. Uttar Pradesh government came forward with some 20,827 applications, which is sanctioned immediately. My point is, The CLSS will definitely attract more response in the coming days because we are trying to create awareness. If you have land, there is no problem. You can directly get assistance through ministry, through via bank. Now banks have been sensitized. Banks are now willing to join this program in a big way, and we have National Housing Bank also. And this CLSS, if you have land and it is certified, that's all.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a lot of this thing exercise that has to be taken care by the state. Here, the state responsibility is simple. If some Subbarao says, "Sir, I am from so and so place. I have a land. I want to construct a house." The bank will verify whether he has a document of his land, etc. And then I am ready to release the subsidy to the bank upfront, not EMI of 20 years or 15 years. Whatever EMI of 20 years, I am going to release upfront. So naturally it will catch up.
Right. And when do you expect a mass take-up of CLSS?
I am engaging myself with CREDAI. I am engaging myself with, yesterday I was with the PhD Chamber of Commerce, and we are trying to sensitize different players in the market. And once, as I told you, the awareness level is increasing, the response also will increase. Now state after state are asking for second installment of the sanctions and all. I am willing to go by that.
Sir, we see that there are some pockets where there is a lot of housing, but because it is not connected through infrastructure, those houses have remained vacant.
It was a wrong approach under JNURM. They have sanctioned houses, constructed houses also.
Right.
The story is Delhi is having 23,000 houses built long back, lying vacant. There are people without houses. There are houses without people. The reason is, as you have rightly said, there is no infrastructure created. If you want people to live in a house, it needs electricity, it needs water, it needs at least a road connectivity. Then at the end of it, it needs a transport facility also. After all, people will not live in the house alone. Nah. They have to go to market, they have to go to children, have to go to school, they have to go to hospital. All these things are there. So keeping that in mind, now we are stressing with the states, please put it to operation by creating the infrastructure. Some of the states are now doing.
So one of the things that we've noticed is we worked with your ministry, we worked with your teams, and we created a budget housing website. Unfortunately, what happened was that we found that we were catering to a segment where bulk of the housing in the market was not legal. It is, up to 30 lakh. When we looked at different cities, we found that housing is just coming up. You've sanctioned under the PMAY. It takes 2 to 3 years to build it, and therefore right now the site is ready, but there is not enough legal stock to go on it. So looking at the market, the consumer who wants to buy will definitely not get enough housing for the next 2 or 3 years that is legal and affordable.
I don't think it will take 2 3 years. Nowadays new technology has come, and then there is already some stock that is available, and wherever there is any possibility, some of these irregularities are being attended to, and they are also being legalized so that you can purchase them. Secondly, there is unsold stock for other reasons also, because of the economy also. And now the economy is picking up. Once the economy picks up, one is availability of money, second is interest rates further coming down. I have some experience in the Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government, where the housing, there was a boom in housing. The reason was, from 12%, he brought down the interest rate to housing to around 7.25 or 7.5%. Now same thing is happening. And for the affordable housing, the interest is going to further reduce also. That will naturally push and attract more people to the market, and they will take up construction.
So yesterday you mentioned in your PhD Chamber's address that the private sector is still not biting enough. You need them to get more involved in the PMAY. What will you do to get
well, I can only persuade them. I can only tell them this is available. These are the opportunities that are available. At the end of the day, they have to make a choice. You can't force anybody to do a particular business. I am trying to make this business to them is more attractive, because more players coming means my effort to build houses for all, that will be supplemented by the private sector. So I was trying to create a, what you call public momentum. By Jeko, I have given all these incentives. These are the opportunities available. Still, we have not yet done enough. That's the message I want to give. What, as a central government, I am trying to do is to formulate schemes going by the experience world over, and also to fund schemes, part of it. For example, drinking water, sanitation, solid waste management, transport. These are 4 priority areas for me under Atal Mission for Regeneration and Urban Transformation. So I am trying to give money to the cities from my side. Then the smart cities is an idea of the Prime Minister to create certain cities with more infrastructure to make them livable cities, and then these cities must act as lighthouses for others to see, and then the public opinion, the awareness of the people, the people's participation will improve civic facility. What I am trying to say is the government from time to time has been sensitizing the states. In democracy, enlightened public opinion will make it more vibrant and more meaningful. People should observe the resident welfare associations of the local areas. They should bring pressure on their elected representatives, on their selected officers also who are working in that particular region. That really assures them to get the facilities that are required. What I am stressing with the states, I have a meeting also on 28th. All state secretaries have been called, some of the municipal commissioners also. Is plan for coming 25 years. What will be Bangalore? What will be Pune? Or what will be other cities, Noida, in another 25 years? How much is going to be the population that is going to add? Then what about the water? What about the road? What about the other requirements? Plan from now onwards. And then I have seen some people are saying when you go for all these facilities, flyovers and all, people have to pay a little extra. People do not mind paying a little extra provided you assure them of the services, better quality. But unfortunately, all these years the urban local bodies were looking up for raising resources. They look to collector to state minister to central minister to finance minister to prime minister, and prime minister to World Bank. This is not going to solve the problem. So we are now trying to create awareness among the people and also create revenues. The municipal bonds idea or the credit rating of the cities, credit rating. If you provide more facilities, people will be willing to pay a little extra. I am confident people are all wise and they try to learn from others' experience.
Thank you so much.